Okay, welcome to Monday. As of the taping of this, not everyone had finished their quiz. So for those of you that did poorly, a couple of you did, send me an email. I'll give you a quick reteach, and if you want to retake it, you can. Most people did perfectly fine, a lot of hundreds, and I would say majority of you missed one question. One question. All right, so your homework was on the distance formula, that big, ugly formula. There are the answers. Go ahead and check your work, and then answer question 1 on the Google Forms. How many you missed? All right, we're going to finish up the distance formula with its partner called the midpoint formula, and then we'll do a practice day on this both of these on Wednesday. Chapter test, we're almost to the end here. Chapter test on Wednesday. We'll do a quick review on Monday. Then we'll jump right into chapter 11. Chapter 11 is where we'll end the year. We won't get through the whole darn thing. We will do some practice for the semester final. We'll take semester final. We got 5 weeks left. 5 weeks left. Okay. Cut down your homework. Okay, so remember we started off this lesson by calling this the distance and the midpoint formula, and we did the distance formula on Friday. So today we'll do the midpoint. I'll do a quick review of the distance formula, and then we'll jump right into the midpoint formula. Okay, last class, we started off by saying, well, here are 2 segments. Tell me how long each segment is. Well, the ones that are horizontal and vertical, you can literally just count squares, but the ones that are not, you need some extra math. And the extra math turned out to be the Pythagorean theorem in disguise. It's this big ugly formula right here, d for distance. You simply plug in the coordinates of the 2 endpoints, A and B. Remember, x1 stands for the x-coordinate of point 1, and x2 stands for the x-coordinate of point 2. The same thing for the y-coordinates, y2 and y1. You square the difference of the 2, and then you add them together, and lastly you take the square roots. Okay, that's the distance formula. All right, let's look at one. There's the formula again. Let's look at one example just to make sure we're good on this. I have to give you the 2 endpoints, right? It's a segment, so it has 2 endpoints. So I give you the 2 points, point A, point B. They could be called anything. Step number 1 is you label which are the x's and which are the y's, and then you label, and it's your choice which one you want to be point 1, point 2. I always label the first one point 1, point 2. You can come up with your own pattern or system, whatever you want to do. But I'm just a creature of habit. This is how I do it. All right. I look at the formula. I don't assume. And then I just simply do what it tells me to do. It says x2. That means the x-coordinate of point 2. The x-coordinate of point 2 is 7 minus the x-coordinate of point 1, which is 2. So 7 minus 2. And the other one will be 3 minus 1. You see what I did there where I got those numbers? And then I simply do the math. 7 minus 2 is 5. 3 minus 1 is 2. 5 squared is 25, 2 squared is 4, 25 plus 4 is 29. Grab my calculator. The square root of 29 is about 5.4. Okay? Hey, let's do one just to make sure we got this one down. Okay? This is the easy one. Notice there's no negative numbers there, so that's why this one's easy. All right. Make sure you label x, y, and then point 1, point 2, and then plug in your numbers. x2 is 1, x1 is 6. y2 is 9, y1 is 3. Pause the video if you need to see where I got those numbers from. But notice I'm just doing exactly what the formula says and my labeling says. 1 minus 6 is negative 5. 9 minus 3 is 6. Negative 5 times negative 5 is 25. Negative times negative is positive. 6 times 6 is 36. 25 and 36 is 61. Grab my calculator. Square root of 61 is 7.8. Okay? All right. It becomes more challenging when there are negatives involved. Okay? So don't panic. Just do exactly what the formula says. X sub 2 is negative 4 minus x sub 1 is negative 1. So I'm going to get a negative 4 minus a negative 1. Y2 is negative 6 minus y1 is 3. Two negatives make a positive, so the top, or the x-coordinate should say -4 plus 1. -4 plus 1 is -3. Can you see where I got the -3 from? -4, two negatives turn into a positive. -4 plus 1, -3. -6, -3, two signs are the same. You add the two numbers. 6 plus 3 is 9, -9. -3 times -3 is 9. -9 times -9 is 81, which gives me 90. Grab my calculator, about 9.5. Got it? All right. Go ahead and pause the video, get to an answer on this one, plug that into question number 2 on the Google Forms, and then play the video and check your work. All right, so I put a bunch of negatives in there just to make sure that you got the negatives down. So let's see. If you go by my labeling, it would be -1 minus -3 and 6 minus -3. Okay? Two negatives make a positive. So that would be -1 plus 3. -1 plus 3, which would be 2. 6 plus 3, which would be 9. Pause the video, logically think this through and see where I got 2 and 9 from. -1 plus 3. 6 plus 3. Two negatives make a positive. Okay? All right, 2 squared is 4. 9 squared is 81, which gives me 85. Grab the calculator. About 9.2. Did you get it right? Okay. All right, so that'll do it for distance formula for today. We're just going to do a little bit of practice on that. We're going to move on to the next formula. Okay, pretty quick class today. Remember those two questions from yesterday? How long and where's the middle? Well, we just did how long. How long is the distance formula? The second question is, where is the middle? Right? Where is the middle on a horizontal or vertical line is really easy, but on a diagonal line, I mean, look visually, look at that diagonal line, AB, or that line segment. It would be hard to figure out where the middle is exactly. For GJ, that would be pretty easy to find the middle, right? But for AB, it's a little bit more challenging. We need a formula. We need a formula. So we need another formula. And this formula will tell us where the middle is. Now think about this. If I have a line segment and I'm trying to find the middle is halfway between the starting point and the ending point. Halfway is the same as how long is it divided by 2, right? How long is it divided by 2, right? That would be where the middle is, okay? So I want you to think about this. Look at GJ. Pretty easy to see where the middle is, but look at the x-coordinates, 0 and 4. Halfway between 0 and 4 is 2. Well, how do you do that mathematically? 0 plus 4 is 4. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Look at the AB. So where is the middle? Well, add the two x-coordinates. 5 plus 1 is 6. Half of 6 is 3. So I know the x-coordinate is 3. We'll look at the y's. 2 plus 5 is 7. Half of 7 is 3.5. So we get 3, 3.5. Right? So all I'm doing is taking the x-coordinates, adding them, and then dividing by 2. And then doing the same thing with the y. That's how I'm going to find the middle. And that actually is the formula. All right, so you need to write this down. M for midpoint. Remember, all points get a name. Notice that comma there, because remember, all points are something, comma, something. Okay? And then look what the math there is. The math is not the same as the distance formula. We're not subtracting. We're not squaring, right? This time I'm adding the x-coordinates, then dividing by 2. I'm adding the y-coordinates and then dividing by 2. Distance formula, you subtract and then square. Okay? All right. So, make sure you have that written down. And let's see how this works in real life. Once again, I got to do my labeling, my x's and my y's, my point 1 and my point 2. Now look what it tells me to do in the formula. Take the two x values and add them. So that would be what? 2 plus 6. Okay, 2 plus 6. And then what does it say to do with the y values? It says to add them. That would be what? 4 plus 10. Okay, so 2 plus 6, well, that's pretty easy. That's 8. 4 plus 10 is 14. Divide that by 2. So the midpoint, 8 divided by 2 is 4. 14 divided by 2 is 7. Well, there's your midpoint, M for midpoint. The middle between A and B is at 4, 7. Now, you could graph this one if you're curious to show you that, in fact, it is the middle. Let's see it again. This time throwing some negatives in there. Still works with negatives. Okay? Different formula. If there's a mistake that's made with distance and midpoint is that you kind of combine the two formulas and you don't have them written down correctly and you forget what am I doing, adding or subtracting, squaring or dividing by 2. But if you have the formula written down or it's on your resource card, it's kind of hard to make a mistake as long as you label correctly. All right, I'm just going to do exactly what the formula says. It says x sub 1, x on point 1 is negative 3, plus x of 2 is 7, so negative 3 plus 7. Y sub 1 is 3, and y sub 2 is negative 2. So 3 plus negative 2, right? Let's see. Negative 3 plus 7 would be 4, and 3 plus a negative 2 would be 1. Okay? 4 divided by 2 is 2, and a half is still 0.5. So I get 2 comma 0.5. Notice, since we're dividing by 2, when you're finding the midpoints and you start with whole numbers, the only decimal you're ever going to get is 0.5. Sometimes you get a 0.5 for both numbers, or the x and the y. Sometimes you don't get it for either one. Sometimes, like in this case, you get them for either the x or for the y. So if I give you whole numbers, right, I should say integers, then it's possible to get a decimal, but the decimal will always be a 0.5. All right, let's do one together. Notice I gave you integers, right? 2, 5, 6, 1. I've already got them labeled, right? So you just need to make sure you put your x's and your y. So let's see. X sub 1 is 2. X sub 2 is 6. Y sub 1 is 5. Y sub 2 is 1. 2 plus 6 is 8. 5 plus 1 is 6. 8 divided by 2 is 4, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. So I get the midpoint is 4 comma 3. So 4 comma 3 is the point that's between A and B. Make sense? Okay. If you need to see another example, rewind, watch those two examples again. For those of you that are ready to try this yourself, go ahead and try this yourself. Pause the video, get to an answer, and then put it into Google form question number 3. How'd you do? So this one has a whole bunch of negatives once again. I'm just following the order. It says negative 1 plus negative 6, that's the x's, and 3 plus negative 10. Remember, a plus and a minus turn into a minus. So the top, or the x-coordinates, is really negative 1 minus 6, which is negative 7. And 3 minus 10 is also negative 7. Okay, so let's see. Negative 7 divided by 2 is negative 3.5. So I get negative 3.5 comma negative 3.5. Hey, midpoint formulas aren't too bad at all. All right, your homework tonight, just so you get practice, will be on the distance and the midpoint. And since I've been doing this a while, I generally find that kids need one more day of seeing the distance and midpoint. So on Wednesday, we'll just do basically a practice day of nothing but distance and midpoint formula. So that's the whole class. There is your homework. If you have any questions, send me an email. And for those of you that tanked on the quiz, send me an email so you can take a retake. All right, see you guys on Wednesday.